here's everything you need to know about the Honkaiverse. We'll start with the imaginary tree and the Sea of Quanta. These two are the literal foundations of reality itself in the Honkaiverse, which includes Genshin. As time passed, the imaginary tree has grown billions and billions
and billions and billions and billions
and billions of branches, twigs, and leaves. Every time a bud from the tree starts to grow, it brings about the birth of a new universe.
Wow.
Each bud will eventually grow into branches, which will represent that universe's past, present, and future, which will then branch off into smaller twigs, representing different timelines, which will then grow leaves, representing a universe in that timeline. Time flows through the trunk of the tree and branches off into countless universes. The imaginary tree and the Sea of Quanta have a never-ending rivalry, in which the tree would try to suck up the sea, while the sea tries to drown the tree. A counterforce called the Honkai is developed by the imaginary tree to evaluate each world and its inhabitants. Honkai can manifest as animals, zombie-inducing viruses, the internet, and are sometimes led by Hershers who take over human hosts. Only worlds that can withstand the tests of the Honkai are permitted to remain on the tree. If a world or universe are unable to combat the Honkai and lose, their leaf on the tree will wilt and fall into the Sea of Quanta, becoming a fragmented version of itself called the Bubble Universe. The Sea of Quanta, on the other hand, doesn't abide by the rules of the tree. Characters in Honkai Impact have shown to not only be able to view and traverse different universes using the sea, but also be able to artificially create bubble universes using Hersher powers and people's memories. Each leader of the three anti-Honkai factions of humanity, like Welt of Anti-Entropy, Otto of Schicksal, and Kevin of Jormungandr, have all messed with bubble universes in one way or another. Especially this genocidal simp who straight up destroys universes and timelines in order to figure out how to save his childhood waifu who died over 500 years ago! And for those who are still wondering, yes, the dragon he saw on the monitor while viewing different universes was the Valen from Genshin Impact. But because that universe is so far branched off from theirs, he considered it irrelevant. As it should be.
Know your fucking place, trash!
To easily put all of this into perspective, here's a really nice drawing of the entire Honkaiverse by BunxBun. Here we see the imaginary tree and the Sea of Quanta, with all the universes and bubble universes around it, as well as the imaginary space in between to keep them separate. Notice how all the Honkai universes are on the same branch and split off into different timelines as twigs. Here you got the Gakuen 2 universe, the Impact 3rd universe, Star Rail, and all the other spin-offs, random events, and collabs that the games went through. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Alright, then there's this thing right here. On a completely separate branch, forever alone, never to be touched. I'll try to briefly recap every major game that leads up to the Star Rail universe, starting with Honkai Gakuen 2, also known as Gun Girl Z. Although there was a Honkai Gakuen 1, it had no canon storyline and was more like a beta for the second game. The story begins with a young Kiana Kaslana walking with her dad Siegfried, until they're attacked by the second Hersher Siren, who just started the second Honkai eruption. Fast forward years later, Kiana's dad is missing and her high school is going through a zombie apocalypse, because Kokoya, the current leader of Anti-Entropy, dropped a Honkai bomb in the city, triggering the third eruption. Because Kiana is the main character, her family happens to be resistant to Honkai corruption, allowing her to fight through hordes of zombies and save her friend Mei from being corrupted by the Hersher of Lightning using plot armor. They both meet up with Bronya, and the trio decides to fight off the zombies together until Himiko from Schicksal arrives. Because of Bronya's affiliation with Anti-Entropy, a rival faction of Schicksal, Himiko assumes the trio to be enemies. Kiana tries to explain to Himiko that they're not from Anti-Entropy, but ends up calling her old, which pisses off Himiko, causing her to try and kill the trio. Hearing Kiana's voice through the comms, Teresa Apocalypse, the commander of the Far East Schicksal headquarters, tells Himiko to stop and that she knows Kiana through her father Siegfried. She then orders Himiko to escort the girls to St. Freya Academy. Around this point is where the timeline splits into the Honkai Impact 3rd universe and the end of Honkai Gakuen 2, where Kokoya attacks St. Freya Academy and tells Kiana that her dad Siegfried is dead. Your dad is dead. And you killed him! This causes Kiana to go batshit insane, allowing the second Hersher Siren to take over Kiana's body and killing everyone. Wait, what? Himiko, why are you rushing in blindly? Oh god, she's dead. Teresa, not you too. Why is everyone dying right now? Sele, I forgot you were in this game. Are you gonna kill yourself now too? Bronya and Nichan, I don't feel so good. It's okay, Sele. Here, have a Snickers. Guess I'll die. Mei, seeing all of her friends die, causes her to reawaken her Hersher powers in order to fight off God Kiana. But because she isn't the main character, she dies as well, along with the rest of the world. At the very end, we see Kiana crying as she uses the last bit of her main character powers to regain control and reset the world, leading to all the other Gun Girl Z DLCs like Fire Moth, which I never got to play since support for the game stopped in 2021. All I know is Himiko fucking dies again! As for Honkai Impact 3rd, Kokoya never attacked, meaning everyone's alive. It's been 2 years since the zombie outbreak, and with Himiko as their teacher, the girls were able to graduate from Theresa's St. Frey Academy and become Schicksal's Valkyries. At some point in the story, the leader of Schicksal, Auto Apocalypse, with the help of Huhua, kidnaps Kiana because of the second Herrscher inside of her. In order to save Kiana from Auto, Himiko's squad and Teresa decides to work with Tesla and Einstein, members from a branch of anti-entropy that's against Kokoya and loyal to Welt Yang, who's trapped in the Sea of Quanta with Kevin at this point. Right before the gang is able to save Kiana, we learn from Otto that Kiana is just a clone he made of the real Kiana who died years ago, and that her purpose as a clone was just to be a vessel for the second Herrscher's awakening, with the sole purpose of claiming the Herrscher of Death's power so that he could possibly find a way to revive his dead waifu Kallen. Realizing how bad shit insane he is, Fuhua tries to stop Otto and... It's fine guys, she has phoenix powers. With the Gem of Serenity, Otto revives Siren and she's pissed about what happened to her 16 years ago and continues the rampage she left off at the second eruption. Mei tries to stop Kiana but ends up getting yeeted, so it's up to Himiko to save her student from the Herrscher of the Void. Himiko does her best to fight off Siren and eventually succeeds in saving Kiana.
What did it cost?
Everything.
Damn it, not again! At this point, we've only covered 1/4 of Honkai Impact 3rd, and a shit ton happens afterwards, and you can get the gist of what happens by watching all the really cool cinematics, all the funny recaps on the official channel, and all the mangas and webtoons. But basically, after Himiko saves her, Kiana tries to kill herself to stop Siren from reawakening, but Fuhua's ghost tells her no. Kiana learns how to control her powers. Bronya saves Sele and Welt from the Sea of Quanta, which also releases Kevin, and becomes the Herrscher of Reason under Welt's guidance, and Kokoya goes to jail, and tells Bronya to take care of her sisters. Aww. Mei becomes the Herrscher of Lightning with Kevin's guidance and joins Jormungandr with Natasha. A Herrscher becomes Fuhua. Yatta! Himiko stays dead, and Kiana becomes the Herrscher of Flame Scion and beats the Herrscher of Domination. Everyone works together with the strongest Valkyrie, Durandal, to stop Otto from ruining everything again. Otto destroys a bunch of timelines and dies, creating a new one where his waifu Kallen lives, leaving behind his divine key Void Archives. Durandal finds out that she's the real Kiana, and Otto wiped her memories as a kid when she and Siegfried tried to save the clone Kiana. Durandal and Kiana later saves their dad Siegfried and they have a happy reunion. Later on, Bronya becomes the Herrscher of Truth, Mei becomes the Herrscher of Origin, and Kiana becomes the Herrscher of Finality, using her powers to send all the Honkai to the moon! This leads to a Post-Honkai Odyssey, which was confirmed to be canon to the timeline by a Hoyo staff, which takes place 8 years after Honkai Impact 3rd's ending. In a Post-Honkai Odyssey, the Earth was nearly destroyed by an unknown alien race called the Sky People, with a small group of them being led by Void Archives, the sentient divine key that Otto left behind. After Otto died, Void Archives was able to take over and use one of Otto's many clone bodies, and after 500 years of spending time with him, his personality just rubbed off on him. He let himself be captured by the Sky People, and they forced him to make a plan for them, in which he lured a squad led by Mei and Bronya to be ambushed. The gang defeats Void Archives, but tells them that they don't have the power to defeat the Sky People, and will do everything necessary to destroy the Honkai before teleporting away. He teleports to a train used by Welt and his son Joey and asks Welt to help him recreate the Star of Eden, a divine key previously used by Welt to manipulate gravity and create black holes, in hopes to destroy the remaining Honkai on the moon. Welt agrees on the condition that his son stays safe, which leads us to the Alien Space webtoon, which ends with Void Archives and Welt in a spaceship finding the Sky People's plans to invade another universe. He also sees a hologram of Himiko among the plans, realizing that the Sky People is targeting her too. Remembering how his past decisions led to his Himiko dying, she was a student by the way, he convinces Void Archives to travel to that universe with him to save that Himiko and her universe from the Sky People. In Honkai Star Rail, when you ask Himiko about Welt's past, she just mentions how he and his friend were drifting through space on a destroyed spaceship. It's safe to assume that the friend Welt was with is Void Archives, and that he screwed off somewhere before the rest of the crew came along the express. As for whether Luocha is Void Archives who came with Welt from the Impact 3rd universe, or simply just the Star Rail's version of Otto, we'll just have to wait. Hopefully when version 1.1 of Star Rail is released. Okay, Welt, your only job is to make sure Himiko doesn't die for the 4th time. I don't think I can handle her dying again, especially not after last time.